So have the recent events changed your perspective on things? Has your stance on Bitcoin's price changed now?
No, it hasn't. And I'll tell you this, is that basically all of these things like Ray Dalio, Goldman Sachs, even the invasion of Ukraine, which pushed oligarchs to arguably move into Bitcoin to avoid sanctions, those are all unbelievably bullish things for the longer term. But what concerns me, number one, is the bear flag that you can see in front of you on the chart. And that tells us that there's likely further downside. And the second thing is, with the Fed raising rates and arguably talking more actively about 50 basis points multiple times this year, you likely will see continued deleveraging in the system. So the NASDAQ, yes, it's had a great bounce. I don't think it lasts. And if the NASDAQ starts to fall and fear comes back in, then you have to say Bitcoin likely will go lower. So again, longer term, those are all positives. In the short term, fear and greed really rule. Right now, you're getting a little bit on the greed side. And ultimately, I think fear takes over and takes us lower.
So again, interesting levels. You said there's excitement, there's bullishness. If, perhaps an investor's watching here saying, I got to get in, I got to get in. What would you do here?
Yeah, so right here, this is not the point to be getting in. I would much rather give people, like if you hold above this 200 moving average for a couple days, I would feel much safer about getting long at that point. And just in full fair disclosure, I've been shorting, as of yesterday, I've started to inch in on the short side of Bitcoin with my members at verifiedinvestingcrypto.com. And we will likely add again, and we're doing very small amounts, like 2.5% of portfolio. So it's very small at this point, but we're definitely looking for a pullback off the 200 moving average. And then ultimately, I do think it breaks to the downside in the next couple months when the NASDAQ and tech sector starts to reverse down to the downside. So if you're looking for the bull case, you need it to get above the 200 moving average, so 48,250, and it's got to hold there for a couple days to secure itself. Otherwise, you're right into resistance here. You never want to be the person buying right into resistance.
Okay, so you first want to see what happens, but overall, you still think we're going to have that serious correction or crash back down to 20,000.
I really do. I mean, at this point, you can't tell me that the flush out we've seen, it hasn't, none of the alts have gone out of existence and there's 15,000 cryptos. You've got to see some sort of flush out in the system. I mean, even in 2017, you had some going to zero. You got to see, there's so many more today. You've got to see more of that. The Fed is tightening. They're telling you that they're going to tighten and they're going to tighten aggressively. That is negative for risk assets. Bitcoin falls into a risk asset right now.
Right. And we haven't seen Bitcoin really tested in a higher interest rate environment. So it will be fascinating to see how this plays out. Okay, if we could look at the S&P, just get your views generally on where you think the market is headed here.
Yeah, so we are seeing a small down day today, nothing major, but the markets have just staged this remarkable rally. I look at this as like a kind of a bull trap, if you will, meaning that the markets are surging. I'm not necessarily 100% sure what the exact reasons are here. I don't know if it's a wall of worry with the invasion. Maybe there's hope that it comes to a close. Maybe there's hope that the global economy slows so the Fed doesn't have to hike as much. But the bottom line is interest rates going up. Remember the big saying back in basically for the last 10 to 12 years, don't fight the Fed, when the Fed was printing money and the markets just kept going higher. Now the Fed is doing the opposite. So the mantra that I keep repeating in my mind is don't fight the Fed here, and in fact start looking to short big rallies like this. So I'm shorting the S&P, I'm shorting the NASDAQ, I'm even shorting a little bit of Tesla up here, looking for pullbacks over the next couple weeks to couple months.
I mean, it's really interesting you say that, and I think only time will tell what will happen here, because the question is, will the Fed be able to successfully orchestrate this soft landing they're trying to do? Like, are they going to be able to fight inflation, raise rates just enough where they don't implode the market and are able to bring inflation down? Do you think they'll be successful?
I don't. If you look historically at the Fed, they're very bad at soft landings. So my guess is they're going to raise rates aggressively here. It's going to hurt the economy. High oil prices are hurting the economy. High food costs are hurting the economy. You're going to see the economy slow very rapidly in the second half of the year, and then the Fed is going to stop hiking. Now, most people would say, oh, okay, isn't that really good for risk assets? Well, the problem is it would be good if they could print the same amount of money they did last time, but they can't. they can't do it because inflation is still way too high. So they're going to be in a box here where the economy's slowing, but they can't stimulate the economy like they used to. That's bad for stocks because a slowing economy without stimulus means that consumers will be buying less, which means earnings will come down substantially, or growth at least of earnings will drop.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dan.